Welcome to our deep dive today.
Yeah.
We're going to unlock the power of some common English expressions you hear all the time.
Yeah.
So by the end of this, you'll not only know what they mean, but
Right.
you'll be able to use them like a pro.
Right.
And today's power words are hang in there, vexed, look up to, and jargon.
Ooh, those are good ones.
Ready to dive in.
Yeah, let's start with hang in there.
Okay.
I'm curious,
Mm-hmm.
have you ever stopped to think about how interesting this phrase is?
You know, I haven't.
It's literally telling someone to hold on physically,
Yeah.
but we use it for all sorts of tough situations.
It is kind of a verbal life preserver.
I like that.
Yeah.
And it speaks to a very human need for encouragement and resilience.
Yeah.
Our source gives the example.
Okay.
Even though the workload feels overwhelming,
Uh-huh.
just hang in there. You're doing a great job.
Mm-hmm.
It's casual, supportive, and very American, wouldn't you say?
Totally. It feels very like 1970s.
Right.
Something you'd hear on like a cheesy motivational poster.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But cheesy or not,
Yeah.
it taps into this idea that we admire people who don't give up easily.
Right.
The exact origin is debated,
Okay.
but that connection to physical challenges like climbing or sports
Yeah.
makes
Mm.
sense.
It does.
Yeah.
So how do we make sure that hang in there sticks in our memory?
Hmm.
Any tricks?
Absolutely.
Lay it on me.
Picture a lone climber caught in a sudden storm clinging to a rock face.
Woo.
That image of sheer determination to hold on embodies the essence of hang in there.
Wow.
It's about digging deep and refusing to let go,
Yeah.
even when things get tough.
Okay. That's a visual I won't soon forget.
Good.
Now, for a word that's a bit more refined,
Okay.
vexed, this one always makes me think of a Shakespearean play.
It does have a rather sophisticated air to it, doesn't it?
Yes.
But the meaning is actually something we experience quite often.
Okay.
Annoyance, frustration, but not quite rage.
Oh, okay.
Think of it as a slow burn,
Gotcha.
a simmering irritation.
So if someone cuts me off in traffic, I'm annoyed.
Mm.
But if my internet keeps cutting out all day, I'm vexed.
You got it.
Uh-huh.
It's more than a fleeting annoyance.
Yeah.
It's something that nags at you.
I see.
Like in the example from our source.
Okay.
She was vexed by the constant noise coming from her neighbor's apartment.
I feel that.
It's that ongoing nature of the bother that really defines vex.
Ongoing. Okay.
Yeah.
And it comes from the Latin vexor,
Uh-huh.
which means to shake or disturb.
Yes.
Huh.
Isn't it interesting how that unsettling feeling is baked right into the word's origin?
That is interesting.
And people have been feeling vexed for centuries.
Oh, wow.
There are even uses of the word dating back to the Middle Ages.
So vexed is like a time traveler of annoyance.
I love that.
How can I make sure I remember this one?
Picture someone pacing back and forth, brows furrowed, muttering under their breath.
Okay.
They're clearly irritated, but it's more than just a simple annoyance.
Right.
They're mentally wrestling with this situation
Yeah.
that's vexed.
Pacing and muttering. Got it.
Okay.
Now let's shift gears to something more positive.
Okay.
Look up to. It's such a straightforward phrase,
Mm-hmm.
but there's real depth to it, right?
Absolutely. It's more than just admiration.
Okay.
It's about aspiring to be like someone, to embody their qualities.
Mm-hmm.
Our source talks about young athletes looking up to Serena Williams,
Mm-hmm.
not just for her tennis skills, but for her dedication and resilience.
It's like seeing someone as a role model, almost like a guidepost for your own life.
Exactly. Look up to
Mm.
implies that you're not just impressed by someone,
Yeah.
but you want to learn from them
Right.
and follow a similar path.
Oh, I like that.
And while the exact origin is unclear,
Okay.
I always think about the physical act of looking up to someone as a sign of respect,
Right.
almost like acknowledging their elevated status.
Yeah. I love that imagery. Makes it easy to remember.
Good.
So, final word for part one of our deep dive?
Okay.
Jargon. That's the bane of my existence.
Oh, jargon can be a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
It's essential for efficient communication
Uh-huh.
within specialized fields,
I see.
but it can also create barriers
Yeah.
for those outside the circle,
It's like a secret language
right?
that only certain people are privy to.
And sometimes it feels like the word jargon
Yeah.
is itself a bit jargony.
The irony. But our source hits the nail on the head
Okay.
with this example.
Hmm.
The medical report was filled with jargon that was difficult for the average patient to understand.
Yeah.
It's a classic case of specialized language becoming a roadblock
Mm-hmm.
to clear communication.
Exactly. And it raises important questions about audience awareness
Right.
and the responsibility of experts
Yeah,
to make their knowledge accessible.
absolutely. Speaking of origins, do we know where this word came from?
It comes from Old French.
Okay.
where it originally meant chattering or gibberish.
Huh.
I find it amusingly fitting
Yeah.
that a word now associated with complex terminology
Right.
once meant something akin to meaningless noise.
Oh, that's just perfect.
Yeah.
So how do we remember jargon without, resorting to more jargon?
Imagine a group of experts in a room
Okay.
talking shop in their highly specialized language.
Mm-hmm.
To anyone outside that field, it just sounds like a cacophony of confusing noise.
I can imagine.
That's jargon in a nutshell.
That's brilliant.
Good.
It really captures that feeling of being excluded from the conversation.
Right.
Okay, that wraps up part 1 of our deep dive into these powerful English expressions.
Mm-hmm.
We've only just scratched the surface.
Yeah.
There's so much more to explore.
I know. I'm excited.
Don't worry, we'll be back in part 2 to delve even deeper
Yes.
into these words and phrases.
I can't wait.
Until then, keep those ears perked and those brains engaged.
Welcome back to our deep dive into powerful English expressions.
So it's time to take these words and phrases we've explored
Yeah.
and really make them work for us.
Exactly. Let's start with hang in there.
Okay.
It's all about encouragement,
Uh-huh.
but there are ways to use it that make it even more effective.
I'm all ears. What are your insider tips?
Well, think about the tone.
Okay.
Hang in there works best
Yeah.
when it's delivered with warmth and empathy.
It shouldn't sound flippant or sarcastic.
Precisely.
Uh-huh.
It needs to come from a place of genuine caring.
Okay.
Another tip is to be specific.
Oh, okay.
Instead of just saying hang in there,
Uh-huh.
try adding a detail
Okay.
that shows you understand the other person's struggle.
So instead of saying hang in there, it'll get better.
Yeah.
I could say something like, I know that deadline is tough.
Right.
But hang in there, you've got this.
Exactly. By acknowledging the specific challenge,
Yeah.
your encouragement becomes more meaningful and personal.
Okay. I love that. What about vexed?
Yeah.
How can we use this word
Right.
in a way that sounds natural, maybe even a bit impressive?
The key is remembering
Okay.
vexed isn't about explosive anger.
Right.
It's about a subtler,
Mm-hmm.
more intellectual frustration.
It's like when something's bugging you on like a deeper level.
Exactly.
Not just like surface annoying.
Think about using vexed
Okay.
when you want to express a thoughtful kind of irritation.
I see.
Like when you're puzzled by a problem
Mm-hmm.
or frustrated by a lack of progress.
So I could say, I'm vexed by this design flaw.
Yes.
It seems so obvious now, but I totally missed it.
Perfect. You're showing that you're not just annoyed,
Right.
but mentally engaged with the issue.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, what about look up to?
Yeah.
We talked about admiration,
Mhm.
but are there other nuances to this phrase?
One important aspect is the element of aspiration.
Oh, okay.
It's not just about respecting someone,
Uh-huh.
but about wanting to be like them in some way.
It's like saying, this person is so amazing that I want to follow in their footsteps.
Exactly. That's why look up to is so powerful.
Yeah.
When talking about role models and mentors,
Mm-hmm.
it shows that you're not just impressed by someone's achievements,
Mhm.
but also inspired by their values and character.
So how can we use this phrase in a way that really highlights that aspirational quality?
One approach is to be specific
Okay.
about the qualities you admire
Uh-huh.
in the person you look up to.
So instead of just saying, I look up to my grandfather,
Right.
I could say, I look up to my grandfather for his work ethic and his kindness.
Exactly. By highlighting those specific qualities,
Yeah.
you show you're not just admiring from afar,
Okay.
but actively learning from this person.
That's a great tip. Okay. Last but not least, we have jargon.
Right, jargon,
Any expert advice on how to navigate this linguistic minefield?
of course. The key to using jargon effectively
Mm-hmm.
is being mindful of your audience.
Right.
Jargon can be helpful within a specific group,
Uh-huh.
but it can alienate people
Yeah.
who aren't familiar with those specialized terms.
It's like speaking a different language.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
So when you're using jargon,
Yeah.
always ask yourself, will my audience understand this?
Mm-hmm.
If not, am I willing to explain it?
That's so important. The goal of communication is to connect with people,
Precisely.
not to confuse them.
And one way to avoid confusing people with jargon
Okay.
is to use it sparingly and strategically.
Tell me more about that.
Instead of bombarding people with technical terms,
Yeah.
try using one or two key pieces of jargon
Okay.
and then explain what they mean.
So it's like offering a little taste of the specialized language
Exactly.
without overwhelming the listener.
And by taking the time to explain the jargon,
Mm-hmm.
you're not only making yourself clearer,
Yeah.
but also showing respect for your audience's understanding.
What about using jargon to try to impress people? Is that ever a good strategy?
I think using jargon just to impress people
Yeah.
can backfire.
Okay.